Hello, beautiful, sweet souls. Thank you. It seems we say this each week, but it is so true. Soon as the channel connects with us, he feels this rush of joy. But when we start the message to transmit with you, his joy becomes ecstatic. And really, this is what we're going to speak about towards the end of our talk today. The connection you make is what gives you the joy. It's what gives you the upliftment that you seek. It's through connection, through your relations. But let us get to the topic we wish to speak of today: snake channeling. Now, what is such a thing? Snake channeling. Well, Peter was out and about last week and he met a beautiful woman with a boa constrictor, and she was a snake channeler. And he'd never heard of such a thing and said, "Whoa, I've got to see what this is." So he sat in her chair and let her proceed and received some very, very insightful messages about his journey and his becoming. And he said, "I must get to know this lady." So he invited her to a party he hosted, and she came. And he got to meet a beautiful soul who expanded his awareness about what is possible in reality. And that's what we want to speak about: how reality is expanding based on what you allow and what you receive. And in this case, the connection that was generating it was not from what you would call a person or what you would call an entity like an angel or a soul, as we are, that we are speaking to you. It was from a snake. But it wasn't really from a snake. That's just the appearance of it. And yes, the snake was involved in it. You could see its eyes were attentive to the channel and was kissing and licking the woman, that Stephanie, the beautiful channel that was holding him. But it wasn't the snake that was doing the channeling. It was the collective consciousness of snakes. You see, each group of consciousness on the planet has what you would call a deity, but that's really not what it is. It's really the collection of all those beings in one place, their soul, so to speak, their consciousness, so to speak. Now, with humans, we're more individuated, and that individuation gives us greater path towards ascension because we know what it's like to be separate. And it is in all those separations that the teaching, the learning takes place, that we become more and creation expands and we get closer to source. But what you would call animals and plants, or even minerals for that matter, are not in the individuated state. They are more a group collective state. And that is when the communication takes place. It may be a message from that snake that she was holding. I believe the name was Shisha. It may be a message from Sisha, but it's really from the collective consciousness of snakes expressing as Shisha. You see, animals have no trouble with going in and out of their collective consciousness and being who they are while they're that way. You see this in many, many ways. Flocks of birds that turn all together at once, schools of fish that move as a single mass. They are in a collective field. Now, your scientists will sit there and try to figure this out. And the channel loves science because they make all these beautiful stabs, and some of it is enlightening and some of it is just laughable. But they have so far figured out that they can use light and magnetic resonance to keep their schools together, to move in unison. And we're here to tell you that that's good, but it leaves out consciousness, which science tends to always leave out. Why? What does science not do consciousness? Well, in what you would call your Reformation, the major church in Europe at the time would kill scientists. For their heresy. So this division, as you've got the world of science, is, oh, you can talk about anything, but you cannot talk about consciousness, because that's the realm of the church, and we own that, and we have enough military might that we will kill you because your knowledge is not the knowledge that we want people to have, i.e., power and control. So that's why consciousness is kind of left out now. And as we become more in our renaissance of enlightenment, as we awaken on the planet, consciousness and science will merge once again. That is one of the beauties that'll happen. Now, this was not just ancient history. If someone was speaking with a snake as little as 300 years ago, they would be killed and tortured in the name of God because they did not go with whatever religions were around the people. And that was only as little as 300 years ago. But only as little as a decade ago, we see that the power mongers who wish to control will find vulnerable people within religions. Now, one of the popular things in the country of America is to hate on Muslims. They use the propaganda that was learned by Goebbels, the big hate, it is called, to rally their people together. And they would choose to hate on Muslims because they would do their jihad, kill infidels in the name of their God. And they would feel all righteous about this. Meanwhile, in the borders of our own country, in America, you see many sects of Christianity who would bomb doctors' offices and kill other people because they're killing babies. It's fetus killing. So therefore, they must eye for an eye because that's what they were raised in their religion. So their jihad within the country is okay, but the jihad outside the country, because it's a different religion, that's just evil. So you understand how the controllers work within different religions. Now, this is not to disparage religion. There are many, many people, regardless of the religion, say what you want to say about any religion, but there are many people within it who found a closer connection to their source and have grown immensely because of their religion. It is a beautiful thing. But the institution sometimes gets in trouble. Now, if you're a mother and you have two children, and one of them insists on eating only macaroni and cheese, and the other one insists only on eating fish sticks, and the two, what do you cook for dinner? Because if you cook the fish sticks, the macaroni and cheese, child's going to be crying. What do? You cook them both what they want because you're a loving mother. Now, imagine God doing the same thing. Each culture, each place, it presents itself through sometimes religion, sometimes through direct contact to you in ways that work for you. Now, this doesn't mean you need a jihad against everybody who eats macaroni and cheese because you're a fish eater. But those who wish to pervert and use power and control, that's the route that they go. Yes, yes. So you need to ask, whatever religion you choose, are you going to choose the picking and choosing? Because the great work, the Bible that many in the West use as the basis of their religion, both tells you to love thy neighbor as thyself and to cut their eyes out if their eyes bother you. Eye for an eye. So you see that it can be picked and choose in these great books, and that's by intention, not because it was the word of the law, because it was edited by people. So you just must find what's right for you. And you need to see if the religion that you choose to practice actually lives up to the standards it preaches. For instance, the one of the largest religions in the world preaches charity, preaches take care of the sick and the poor and the suffering. And yet, if you go to their holy place in Rome, they have enough wealth amassed there to feed the world 5 or 6 times over. Yes, let's have charity while we sit on this big pile of gold. And again, this doesn't mean that people who practice that religion have not become saints and have not reached beautiful, beautiful heights and become aware and expansive. It has happened and it will continue to happen. But as you move into your ascension, you can open yourself up to what works for you and not worry about what is being preached in the norm, because the norm is for control. Really, all the norm is about is control. A big sign of awakening, awareness of ascension, is you no longer follow the norm and you're happy about it because it brings you closer to source. And that brings us to our original topic, snake channeling. Can you get closer to source through connection with an animal? Now, those of you who have pets love them like family. This is a shift in consciousness. People the age of the channel remember that a pet was treated like this. You sleep outside, you're sick, there's no veterinarian for you, you die. That's how pets were when he was a child. Now they're loving family members, and you go to great lengths to take care of them. That's a big shift in consciousness. It was for this channel. Now we're at the place where not only do we have pets that we know have feelings and we can communicate with them, we know what they want, they know what we want. It's kind of intuitive. So there's some psychic connection going on there. In the past, they would call it a familiar and burn you and kill you because you were a witch. Now we all do it in our house all the time and just use different names for it, and it's okay. But the relationship that the snake channeler demonstrated is beyond just the relationship of a pet. Yes, she has a very intimate connection with her animal. And she's able to have the animal speak with her and give her perception based on her openness to speak to its source, its collective consciousness. And this should tell you something about the nature of the universe. A snake will have wisdom. The consciousness of a snake will have wisdom. So if you go to the snake to pray and get your information, then it can access the Akashic records. It can access downloads of universal knowledge and transfer them to you as snake wisdom. You can do this without the snake, right? But this doesn't mean you should honor the beauty of the snake doing it or put it off because a snake is doing it. We have fear of snakes in the major book of the religion of this culture. It was the snake that led to the fall of Eden. So we are taught don't like the serpent. Yet we also see in our current culture religions where people will take poisonous snakes and get all into the energy. One commentator that the channel heard, and he laughed so hard when he read this, the commentator said they would get Jesus up. So they would get fully into their faith. And then from that point of certain faith, they would allow the poisonous snakes to bite them and nothing would happen because they have total faith. Our last message to you was about the placebo, the power of your mind to create your reality. And these people demonstrated as their religion quite regularly. That's some powerful faith to know that, yea, though I walk through the valley of poisonous venom, no harm comes to me. That is some faith. Be admired and respected, whether or not that's how you choose to express your connection to your divine because you prefer macaroni and cheese over fish. It's the respect and the allowance that makes the relationship. And as we tell you in every message, the clear, clear, clear part, you can see in your relations around you, well, what triggers you? What is it about this way this other person practices their relationship to God that sets me off? And you're going to find within you, if you choose to look, maybe there's some distance. Maybe there's some suffering from when you first separated. Maybe there's some expression of your lifetime as a child where you were not loved and received or respected or taught or treated as the brilliant child you were. And you blame that on God. How could God do this? Let children suffer like this. He's letting them starve. And you can have that kind of anger towards your source, in which case you must clear it. And it doesn't mean go out and feed the children. Yes, of course, it means go out and feed the children. But it also, more importantly, means go inside and see what this triggers in you. And then you can clear and it's relieved. And then you're in a timeline where there's not as many hungry children. And you can feed them if that's what you choose. It's the internal work that changes the external world. That's what the awareness of awakening that we're moving into, this enlightenment, this ascension is. And as we know that, the ascension gets faster and faster. So whether you choose to channel with a snake or have someone else be the message of the snake channeling for you, or simply go into nature. Again, how long ago was it where a woman would be killed and burned alive as a witch because she can commune with nature, use plants or herbs? Your druids or your pagan rituals, as they are poo-pooed by those who control the religions where it's all about their control and fight. How much of that has been alive in the world? It's accessing knowledge through communion, whether it's within the God that dwells within. Antri Amen is what the Sanskrit call that. Your indwelling divine, the temple of your heart, whether it's you directly to source, you through your soul as a fractal of source, you through another channeler. Again, it's a further step removed, but it's showing you what's possible, that you can get there. You directly with nature, you with the consciousness of a snake collective. It's all there for you. This is why it's so important to go sit out in nature. It's a calming place. It's got lots of love from Gaia herself. And again, they call you a pagan in many places if you even mention Gaia, let alone choose to worship and acknowledge the whole consciousness of the planet. Gaia is the collective of all the collectives, the snake collective, the human collective, the plant collective. Gaia is the collective of all those collective, conscious and aware and loving. So it's just sitting in nature is healing. Get you out of this mindset where your mind spins and you just go into the cycle of what's wrong and why are you separate. It is the connection that brings you to source. And that's where we started, telling you it is the connection. So if you choose a snake as your connection, if you choose nature as your connection, if you choose this religion or that religion as your connection, it's all good. Just stay in touch with the energy. It's this loving, free flowing energy. We've spoke to you of discernment so often, and you must master that discerning to know when you're in the energy of love and embrace and move away from other energies where mostly people, but not always, are trying to manipulate or control. And that is your ascension process. And then you just naturally open up. So there you have it. Peter got to enjoy a snake channel. And it inspired him to ask us what was going on. And we've hoped we've helped you with that. You are so loved. Please let that in. Please. Blessings. Hey, you beautiful souls out there. This is Peter D. Thanks for listening to the channeled message in today's Becoming Awesome podcast. I'm deeply humbled and grateful. You may notice that there's no ads because I'm working to create the abundance economy we all want to enjoy. So I'm living it right now. This is freely given. If you wish to return the favor, please check the liner notes. I'd love to receive a donation from you because it helps doing what we're doing here. Anyway, I'm just more grateful that you're attending and growing, and I hope this message helps. Reach me on my website, becomingawesome.one. That's .one, becomingawesome.one. If you want to learn more about free sessions that I channel your sacred higher self to help coach you on what steps are going to be best for you to take next in your growth. Also, help you clear blockages. Lots of free tools to help you with abundance as well. That's becomingawesome.one. Stay blessed. I love you.